Peace. What's up, my friend? Hopefully your what day is this? Your Wednesday has been fantastic. Mine has been long, as you can tell. I can't even tell what day it is. But I'm glad to be here and share with you some more information. Part 3 of this plant-based fat loss series. So the first one we did a deep dive into everything that and today, what we're going to talk about is inflammation. What is inflammation? Good question, my friend. So you hit the nail on the head. So that's what we're talking about today. Part 3 of the series, we're going to jump into inflammation, what it is, and how it's affecting your body and why it's keeping you from being able to lose the weight and the fat that you want to lose. So, as always, we're going to start this off the right way. Appreciate you for being here. If you're ready for this knowledge and you're feeling good, you got hot energy, go ahead and drop a 7 in the comments for me. Let me know you're here with me. Drop a 7 in the comments for me. As everybody gets tuned in, let me go ahead and put the what note are we gonna put here? For help, DM the word. Today's word is gonna be inflammation. The book Free Discovery Call. All right, I see them. I see them 7s coming through. Now, if you have comments, be sure to put those questions, those comments. All right, Andrew. I normally don't live like this, but since you asked, you jumped in. We'll do something a little different. Come on with it. Come on with it. So I love to see all these 7s. Love to see them. Love to see them. Thank you for joining and sharing some of your time with me. Can you share solutions? We definitely gonna get into the solutions, Jay. All right, there the brother is. All right, so you had a question. What's your question about inflammation as we get this live kicked off?
First off, Coach, how you doing tonight? How you feel? You looking good, feeling good, I can tell.
Absolutely, Will. I appreciate that, man. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm Drew, owner, creator, founder of R4G3 Fitness. I think we connected in the past, did we not? I believe we did.
Probably in chat. I don't remember going on live, but possibly.
Possibly in chat. So my whole thing is I'm intrigued on inflammation because, see, people ask me, like, what is protein synthesis? How do you get big? How do you work out? What can I do to get me physically fit? And I've never heard the term inflammation in the fitness realm. So I'm very, very interested in. You always got something to learn, and you should never be. You should never be somebody that thinks they know it all. So I'm very intrigued to learn about inflammation.
And the road to plays, well,
your other coach, like I said, we connected in the chats before, so that's between you and me. But now this is time for you and me to actually reflect on what we try to do. So what the hell is inflammation? Pardon my language.
No worries. So your feed is a little choppy. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask you to drop out, and later on, if you have a question, drop it in, or I'll bring you back in. So this whole live is about to be about inflammation. So I'm gonna dive in, go through the notes that I have, and then I'll bring you back in if we didn't answer any question or you got a specific question that we want to get answered for you.
All right, big facts, man. Like I said, this is Drew R4G3 Fitness. If you don't already, go ahead and hit the follow button because you and me is about to do big things, brother. All right, coach.
All right. That's what it is. All right. So appreciate that. So as you can tell, this is a needed conversation because this is a gentleman who's in the fitness space and is not completely familiar with the role that inflammation plays in the body. And so let's dive on into that after we get everything clear here. Boom. That's what I need to do. All right. Boom. All right. So, boom. Now that we got that going, what is inflammation good is a good question. So now that we got everybody in, I appreciate y'all. I'm not going to go back and wave at everybody. You know who you are. Thank you for joining. We got 29 people. So let's jump into it real quick, real quick. What is inflammation? Inflammation is your body's response to fight disease, to fight foreign invaders. So there's two types of inflammation. There's acute inflammation and there's chronic inflammation. So ask all of your questions in the question box. I'm not going to pay as much attention to the chat or the feed right now because of I want to be able to keep my train of thought. So if you want to go live, I'll bring people in live in a little bit after I've gone through the bulk of the information, and then we can get that interaction, that back and forth going. So there's acute inflammation and there's chronic inflammation. Well, what's acute inflammation, coach? What's chronic inflammation? Acute inflammation is your body's response to a foreign invader. So think about this. You get a splinter in your finger. What typically happens? That area swells a little bit. Or let's think about you get a bee sting. That area is going to swell. That swelling, that's inflammation. That's your body sending T cells, sending blood, sending antibodies to that area to fight off and ward off any disease, any bacteria, anything that's coming into your body. So inflammation is actually a good thing because it's your body's natural response to help the immune system fight off infections and foreign invaders. The problem comes in, though, when we look at the second type of inflammation, which is chronic inflammation, which is often also called, what is the term here? Meta-inflammation, also called metabolic inflammation. And what this inflammation is, it is a low, steady, and persistent inflammation throughout your body. So just like, think about this. Think about your car like a gas. Think about your body like a car. If you needed to go from point A to point B, you're going to put your foot on the gas. But when you come to a stop sign, you're going to take your foot off the gas. Well, having constant inflammation in your body is like having your foot constantly on the gas. So you're constantly going. You're constantly having something going on within your body. And that's never a good thing. Like psoriasis or something similar. I didn't see the first question, so I'm not sure. How do you get rid of inflammation in the body? That's what this whole live is going to be about. Stick around to the end, and we're going to go over how to get rid of it. So right now, I'm with all of my lives, anytime I impart information or go to educate, I want to give you the base knowledge first, because there's no reason to tell you how to fix something if you don't understand its root cause, because then you can have it happen again. I don't want to pull the leaves off the tree for lack of a better. I want to pull up the whole root stem so that the tree don't grow back. So that's what we're going back here. Chronic inflammation can lead to psoriasis, absolutely. So chronic inflammation is what leads to most of the illnesses and diseases that people battle with. It is a leading cause, and the inflammation in your brain is what leads to Alzheimer's disease. Inflammation is what leads to diabetes. Inflammation is what leads to asthma, cancer. And if you're dealing with arthritis, guess what that is? That's inflammation in your joints. That's what arthritis is. It is the scientific term for inflammation of the joints. So inflammation is the precursor to all the other diseases, illnesses, or whatever term you want to give what's ailing you. And so now that we hit about what inflammation is. So I'll go over the persistent a little bit more. I'll read it out of the book for you. So I'm a learned man. I'm reading out of this book right here because, again, I don't memorize anything I can look up. So inflammation, the realization that inflammation appears to play a role in many of our chronic diseases, including at least 8 of the top 10 leading causes of death. The significance of this understanding is that the discovery of the germ theory, which centuries ago revolutionized the treatment of infection disease. So, inflammation is a good thing in a small amount, but the persistent systemic inflammation, that low-grade smoldering quality, is what's the problem because of what it does to the blood, what it does to the internals of the body. So now that we've talked about what it is, let's talk about what actually causes inflammation, because that's the next thing that we have to delve into before we talk about how to get rid of it. Let's talk about what actually causes it, because if we don't know what causes it, we don't know what to stop doing. The whole idea here is to learn to make better choices by having better information at our disposal. The information that I'm teaching you, I didn't learn in school. I could have gone to college, but why pay for it when there's tons of books, there's YouTube, there's the internet. I've spent years researching and studying this stuff. So you don't have to. So I want to give you that base knowledge so that you can know what the problem is so you can avoid it to make better choices. Because again, the better information you have, the better choices you can make, the better choices you make, the better outcome you get. Because that's what it's about at the end of the day, is having the better outcome. And the only way to get a better outcome is to change the choices, because you change what you do by letting you know what causes the problem. So let me stop rambling and get back to it. So what causes chronic inflammation? One of the most important, or one of my words ain't wording, it's been a long day. One thing that leads to inflammation is a high fat diet. That means foods that are high in added fats. I don't mean avocados. I don't mean nuts and seeds that have natural healthy fats. I mean processed fat. So what is a processed fat? Any oil that you add to your foods. Avocado oil, great. Now I'm naming the healthy ones first. Avocado oil, grapeseed oil, olive oil, that's the one that most people use. Coconut oil, any vegetable oil. All of those are just liquid fats. Liquid fats. So when you add that to your salads, or you add that to your food, or you cook your food in it, or worse yet, you buy the processed foods that already have it added in it anyway, that's adding more fat for your body, your liver to actually have to metabolize. And because the body can only metabolize so much fat at a time, it sees it as a foreign body, so it leads to releasing the inflammation to help combat it. Well, guess what? Inflammation causes more fat. More fat causes more inflammation, which is another thing that leads to inflammation, is actually being overweight or obese. And I'll come back to that one in a second by telling you some of the other things that cause inflammation. Having a high blood sugar causes inflammation, because too much sugar in the blood that the body can't process, that can't get into the cell, it becomes toxic to the cell. And so that creates the inflammation response to try to combat that. Well, if you have too much insulin, now it's going to continue to happen, and now you end up with too much inflammation. Another thing that leads to chronic inflammation is a bad gut microbe. Why is that? Well, a bad gut microbe, that's bad bacteria. We talked about the gut microbe yesterday. And that's why I did these in that order, was because everything stacks. It's all interconnected. It's all intertwined. So when you have bad gut bacteria, that leads to the opportunity for your gut to leak that bad gut bacteria out into your bloodstream. And guess what that's going to cause? You guessed it, an inflammation reaction, because your body's trying to fight this foreign bacteria. Well, if your body's constantly leaking bad bacteria into your bloodstream, it's constantly releasing inflammation. That's all right. If you missed it yesterday, you just go back to click on one of the posts on my page. It's there. I added all of these recordings. It's part of the series. It'll be up for a while. I'll probably leave them up forever for now. But I did start my subscription, so some new stuff will be coming for you soon. And also, as I had added, I don't know where that comment went. I pinned the comment. If all of this stuff sounds like Greek to you, excuse me, and you want someone to hold your hand through the process of getting healthy, losing weight by having a customized meal plan, a customized workout plan, and accountability and support, DM me the word inflammation, and we'll set you up with a free discovery call to go over my Healthy and Fit in 90 program to see if it's right for you. So now that I've said that, for everybody that's here that can hear it, let's jump back into the bad gut microbe. So that bad gut microbe is leading bacteria into your gut, which causes inflammation. So we talked about that. So, of course, this is the obvious toxins that we ingest, whether it be through food, through pesticides, whether it be plastics, whether it be the water, whether it be air. All of these additional toxins are foreign entity within the body. So guess what the body's going to do? You guessed it, have an inflammatory reaction to ward off and fight it. But because it's under constant assault, it's constantly coming out, which is why you have the word chronic inflammation. Also, the standard American diet does not help. Why? Because the standard American diet is full of heavily processed foods that are full of sugar, full of oil, and full of salt. All of the things that cause and feed more inflammation, because all of those feed the bad gut microbe. So you see how everything is interconnected? That's why I put them in this order, so you can see how each thing stacks on each other. Eating a bunch of sugar in the standard American diet is going to feed that bad gut microbe. That bad gut microbe is all going to lead to more inflammatory response. And then drinking alcohol, that's going to lead to inflammation. Even though it dehydrates your body, it causes inflammation because of the chemical that the body releases as it processes alcohol. You're basically slowly poisoning yourself. That's why you feel the way you feel when you drink alcohol. And so somebody in here talked about cannabis, and that's why it's not good to smoke cannabis, because by smoking cannabis, you actually end up taking in and ingesting more of the cannabinoid oil that you were talking about there. So it's better to, if you're going to use cannabis, to make a tea out of it or cook with it. I am not going to sit up and preach. I do still smoke, but that is the healthier way to get it. I don't preach 100% health. I preach living the healthiest you. So let's not get caught up in the nuance of those little things, though. So are you with me so far? If you're with me so far, drop a 2 in the comments just to see me gauge the room, see who's still with me. See Mo, I ain't seen you in a minute, cuz how you been? So if you with me and everything I'm making sense makes sense so far, if everything that I'm saying, let me slow down and maybe my words will come out right. If everything that I'm saying makes sense so far, drop a 2 in the comment. Let me know I'm on the right path. Or if something that I've said has made you think about something in the way that you weren't thinking about it before, drop a 2 in the comments. Let's do some mind shifting here, because that's what this is about. It's about shifting your mindset. It's about challenging the beliefs that you had before. So again, you can make those better choices so you can have the health that you want to have. So we've already talked about what it is. We've talked about what causes inflammation. So I guess I should have talked about what it does to the body before I talked about what causes inflammation. So what does inflammation do to the body? We kind of hinted to it before about the chronic illnesses. It leads to diabetes. Let's dive deeper. Actually, I'll come back to diabetes. it leads to arthritis. So arthritis is basically your joints being so swollen that it prevents you from being able to move like you need to. It prevents your motor function. That's a problem. If you end up with inflammation in your brain, that's going to lead to issues like Alzheimer's, memory loss, and several other things. Like right here, he has a whole chapter on inflammatory brain damage as a cause of obesity. I'm not going to dive deeper into that because we're not here to really make things worse, because I think you can see how it's affecting you. So now let's jump into how inflammation is actually keeping you from losing weight, because that's what we're here to talk about, right? So I gave you the background, so now let's tie it into the whole series, which is talking about fat loss, right? So inflammation keeps your body from breaking down fat. And the reason being is that fat is not an innate cell. Innate means does nothing. My friend be telling me I be using my big words. So fat cells don't just sit there and do nothing. Fat cells actually secrete hormones. I'm not going to go into all the crazy names of them, but one of them is called cytokines. But what these hormones do is that it prevents the breakdown of fat. So the enzyme in the body that breaks down fat is a thing called lipase. Has a longer name, but I'm going to tell you the short name. If you want the long name, that's what Google's for. But look up lipase. It's the enzyme that actually cuts fat down into smaller particles so that the body can actually metabolize it. But what these ketones do that are released from the inflammation from the fat is it prevents the lipase from being able to do its job and break down the fat. So the more inflammation you have, the more that your lipase doesn't work. Duh. So the inflammation also leads to insulin resistance. And we talked about insulin resistance yesterday, but we'll talk about it a little bit more here. Not taking any requests. If you want to go live when I open it up for questions, I recommend you come in then or drop your questions over there in the question box. Let me grab myself. I've been talking all day. So, insulin resistance, that's where we were. No worries. Nothing to apologize for. So, the inflammation in your body creates more insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is when your body becomes resistant to insulin. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but what does that mean? Insulin is the lock, is the key that opens up your cells to let sugar into the cell so that the cell can use it and burn it for energy. That's what when you become insulin resistant, peace, Nadia, when you become insulin resistant, what that means is that now your body, it takes more of that insulin to do its job. But more doesn't necessarily mean better, because the more insulin you have in your system, the less that what is the word that I'm looking for? The leptin, the hormone that tells you to stop eating, works. So you end up eating more, which ties back into the other thing. But let me bring it back to high insulin. So high insulin prevents the breakdown of fat. Why is that? Because when the insulin in your body is trying to get the sugar into the cells, so it wants to move it prevents the fat from being broken down. I know it's crazy. So the more insulin you have, the less your body's able to break down fat, which means the more glucose that's in your body, the more it's going to turn to fat, which means the more inflammation you're going to have because you're going to have more of the hormones in your body that the fat releases, so it makes it more resistant to breaking down the fat. So you see how it becomes this vicious cycle and why chronic inflammation leads to other diseases. If you are not able to get ahead of it, it is a domino effect and a cycle that's hard to break when you don't take the necessary actions. So inflammation also cuts down the body's response to leptin, which tells your body to stop eating. So we talked about that. So I feel like I've been rambling. Wow, 30 minutes already. So I guess I got this and gone with it. I can make these lives a little bit longer now. So how do you reverse being or chronic inflammation? The first and foremost thing you need to do is get rid of the foods that cause inflammation. I'm going to slow down and I'll say that again so that it sinks in. The best way to get rid of inflammation and reverse chronic inflammation is to stop eating the foods that cause it. It's not hard to fix your body. It's hard to make the decisions and recondition yourself when your why isn't big enough. So what foods cause inflammation, Coach? This is what I've been waiting for you to get to. I know. And that's why I held it, because I wanted you to wait around to the end. So foods that cause inflammation, first and foremost, are going to be meat. Why meat, Coach? Meat causes inflammation in your body for several reasons, but the first is that it has zero fiber in it. There's no fiber in meat. Fiber feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Meat feeds the bad bacteria in your gut. That's why it causes inflammation. Meat is also high in polysaturated fats. Guess what causes inflammation? The first thing I told you about was fat. So if you're eating foods high in fat, i.e. meat, and I don't care how lean your meat is, it still has fat and cholesterol. That's what's causing your inflammation. Next up, you got dairy. Of course, another animal byproduct. Dairy was not designed for humans. Dairy was designed to take baby cows and turn them into, 20-pound calves and turn them into 300-pound cows in a few weeks. That's what dairy is. Dairy is super cow food. That's what's up. That's what's up, JR. So dairy wasn't designed for you. That's why most adults are lactose intolerant, because the body gets rid of the enzyme that it needs to process lactate, which is what's in milk. So the lactate from humans, the body gets used to. But what other, now I'm gonna get off track for here real quick, but I really hate dairy more than I hate meat. What other animal in the animal kingdom drinks milk past infancy or childhood? I'll wait. Think about it. I'll wait. Can't think of any? Now, what other animal in the animal kingdom drinks milk from another animal? Again, I'll wait. None. Exactly. Why do humans think that it's okay? Well, there was a reason that they found a couple of different things, but it had a purpose for people who didn't get enough nutrients from other things. But now there's enough food, you don't need it. And it causes more problems. So dairy, because your body sees it as a foreign object, something that's poison, it causes inflammation. It causes a mucus response. Refined sugars, refined grains. When you refine sugar and you refine grains, you remove the fiber from it. Come on, you didn't hear me. We've been talking about this. The fiber is what feeds the good bacteria. So when you remove the fiber from your grains, from the sugar, you're removing the thing that makes it healthy. So now your body sees it, oh, instant sugar. So we just talked about what the sugar response, what high blood sugar does, creates more inflammation. So there are also, I'm not going to say all fruits and vegetables are equal. So there is a group of vegetables called nightshade vegetables. These foods are high in a chemical that cause inflammation. These are tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and potatoes. You don't have to avoid them completely, but if you are dealing with chronic inflammation until you get under control, I recommend you dial it back. So yeah, I talked about all the foods that cause it. I talked about alcohol being one of the things. Thanks for reminding me. The person, whoever just put that note in, I'll try to come back and see who it was. Now let's talk about the foods that you can eat to actually, Peace Supreme, that you can eat to help reverse this. You already know what you need to stop eating, right? So now let's talk about what you need to eat. Well, I think you can already guess what it is because I said the word at least 30 times. Foods high in fiber. Foods high in fiber feed the good microbes, which are going to crowd out the bad microbes. And as you poop out the fiber, it's going to sweep out those bad microbes, which is going to get rid of part of what's causing inflammation in your body. The foods that are good for you are your whole grains. Oats are one of the best things you can get. Quinoa, another great grain. Amaranth, spelt, millet. These are all whole grains that you can get that are going to help you reduce your inflammatory response and help to break down the fat buildup that you have going on. Leafy greens is coming up next. That's the next one on my list, Lil. Liquid Willis. I need to figure out how, man, I really wish folks would just put their regular names in so I could say it like normal. But I see you. So the next thing on my list, like the sister just said, I appreciate that badge, Lady Amoud. I truly appreciate. I appreciate everybody for supporting me with just your time. The badges are definitely appreciated. I'll come back to this for a second. I want to appreciate each one. I want to appreciate you for being here right now. Because by you being here, you give me a chance to live my purpose. And my purpose is to help people that look like me break the generational curse of passing on bad eating habits so that they can live a healthier and better quality of life for them and their family. Because I've had enough loss in my life that I don't want other people to feel it. But now that I've got my little sentimental moment out, let me get back to it. So oats, quinoa, amaranth, millet, spelt. Those are your whole grains that are going to be good for you. Also, you're going to do all of your legumes and beans. So lentils are going to be high in fiber and be great for resetting your gut microbe. Chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, red beans, navy beans. If it has bean behind it, eat it. If it has P behind it, like PEA, not, you know what I'm saying, eat it. So something else you need to eat in order to help reduce inflammation, we talked about these yesterday when we talked about gut microbe, are your probiotics and your prebiotics. Probiotics are your fermented foods that help inject direct live good bacteria into your system. That's going to be things like coconut yogurt or plant-based yogurts, kimchis, kombuchas, sauerkrauts, things along that line. Is it good for people with hypothyroidism? Yes. For people with hypothyroidism, that's another issue that inflammation causes because it affects how your thyroid responds to the iodine in your body. So one, for you, if you're dealing with hypothyroidism, slow down. It's to fix your gut microbe and make sure you're getting the proper iodine intake. Pre foods that are high in fiber is where you're going to get your prebiotics. So just to go back to my notes from yesterday, prebiotics are going to be your fibrous fruits and vegetables, things that are especially high: green bananas, pistachios, asparagus, garlic, onions, oats, quinoa, millet, and chia seeds. Going back, can you take selenium with iodine? I'd have to look that up. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look that specific question up. Again, I try not to memorize anything I can look up. So when it comes to specific recommendations, send me a DM and we can have that conversation offline. So those are the steps that you go to really fix chronic inflammation, is by changing what you eat and by moving your body in a way that allows you to burn more energy, i.e. more calories, so that your body will start to use up the fat stores for energy. How do you do that? Make sure that you have a meal plan that you can follow that's nutrient rich and low calorie. Make sure that you have a fitness program that is getting your heart rate elevated and pushing you cardiovascularly, but also balanced with strength training so that you can build more muscles, because more muscle burns more energy, which helps increase your metabolism, which helps you burn more energy, which helps you burn more fat when you are eating the proper way. Also, making sure that you have support and accountability can help make these habits a lifestyle and not a diet. So if you don't want to do this by yourself, I recommend reaching out for help, whether it's me or somebody else. If you'd like to see if my healthy and fit in 90, it would be the solution for you. DM me the word inflammation. We'll get you set up with a free discovery call where we'll go over your details and your situation, go over the program, see if it fits. If so, go over the next steps from there. So now that I've gone over what inflammation is, what it causes, how it affects your body, and how you can reverse it, I'm going to open the floor up. Jump in. You can either come live with me and ask your question, or ask your question down in the question box. Shilajit, I have never heard of that, brother, so I'd have to look that up. So for anybody that has a question, I got about 10 more minutes before my clock goes off, because I still got to do my workout for today. It's been a long day. So what questions do you have about eating plant-based and how it can affect your inflammation, how inflammation is affecting you, how you can reverse it, and questions about the 90-day program? Whatever questions you got right now. You got 10 minutes. Let's go. Drop them in the question box or come on live with me and ask it live. Come on. Where's your question? Where's your questions? Now is my chance to serve you even better, because now you can get a personalized answer to the question that's been on your mind for a while. If you don't have any questions, I've said everything I got to say. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to go enjoy see, we got a question to pop in. Appreciate you. What is your take on canned beans? My take on canned beans is eat them if that's what you need to for convenience or affordability. I'd rather you eat canned beans for convenience than go to McDonald's for convenience. That's that take on it. The other take on it is reduce the amount of canned beans that you have in your lifestyle, because by eating canned beans, you are not able to control how much sodium is in it. You're not able to control the quality of the beans, and you're putting yourself at risk to BPA exposure. So eat dry beans where you can, but canned beans are not the worst thing that you can eat. However, I would avoid them if I can, if I could, for lack of, did not mean to pun that. However, if canned beans is what fits into your budget, do canned beans. So we had another question here. Brother Ken, what is going on? All right, so a little off topic, but I went on a fast and I only drank tea with ginger, cinnamon, turmeric, and lemon and honey. Would that break the fast or no? No, because you're still drinking liquids. And so some are there. And so what I didn't go over were all of the herbs that can help you with inflammation. So you have turmeric and black pepper is going to help. You have oregano, which is going to help. I didn't want to give you everything because that's what you come join the coaching for. I'm really struggling with focusing on my food intake. I try to eat healthy. What would you tell me? So if you say you're struggling with your food intake, elaborate to me with what you mean by you're struggling with your food intake. Meaning you're struggling with making the healthier choice. If that's the case, your environment. If you're in an environment that is going to lead to unhealthy choices, you're going to make them. So change your environment. That means change the foods that you have in the house. If you know you cannot resist eating the cookies or the chips, don't buy them. Throw them away, get them out of the house. So I'll have to look into that one. Some of the other items that you can add that will help with inflammation are going to be your green teas, because they're high in antioxidants, your black teas. Sea moss is going to help with inflammation. Beet powder is going to help with the beetroot. So beet juice, beet powder is going to help with inflammation. There are so many different things. So that's where I was going with that, with the adaptogens. Maca powder, triphala powder, reishi mushroom powder, lion's mane mushroom powder, ashwagandha powder. All of those are going to help as well. Got another question. How long does it take for inflammation to exit the body after a vegan lifestyle? Everybody is going to be a little bit different depending on how severe the inflammation is, but you can start to see results within 2 to 3 days. Within a week, you're definitely going to feel something. By the end of a month, you're going to be moving like you're 10 years younger. Sea moss allergy or sensitivities, any suggestions? If you're allergic to sea moss, don't use it. You don't need sea moss. It is a great thing to use as a supplement, but there's burdock root if you necessarily need to get certain things. Something else that I was thinking about. And just making sure that you eat a wide variety of foods. Thank you, Griffin. Stay blessed. I so appreciate you. I'm so humbled that this information can be helping with you. What if you rinse the can of beans and add your own seasonings? So rinsing the cans of beans is definitely going to help get some of the sodium and salt off of it. However, you have to think beans have skin. Just like your meat, just like everything else is going to absorb. So it's been sitting in that sodium water for however long it's been sitting on the shelf since they canned it. So you can only get rid of so much by rinsing it. You're very welcome, and thanks, Ann, for the badge. I didn't even see that. So much appreciate you. So aloe also helps. Absolutely. Coconut water is another good thing for inflammation. I drink coconut water daily. How do you stop drinking alcoholic beverages or get rid of the taste for it? So that if you have a taste for alcoholic beverages, I'm not going to say this with judgment. That is a psychological thing. You're looking to numb yourself from something. So I would take a deeper look at what it is you're moving away from and handle that. 2, make the decision or associate enough pain with drinking alcohol. So if you looked at an alcohol bottle, you saw 10 years come off of your life, you'd probably stop drinking it. It's all mindset when it comes to stopping these habits that are unhealthy for you. I hope that was helpful. So we got a couple more questions in here. If you could do one significant thing to help decrease inflammation, what would you suggest? Follow everything that I've just said in this. Oh, you said one significant thing. If you could do one significant thing, go plant-based. Give up all meat, dairy, and processed foods, replacing them with a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. Do I consume fish? No, haven't eaten fish in 8 years. I don't recommend anybody eat fish because fish is also high in fats. Fish is also high in antibiotics. Antibiotics are going to have an inflammatory response in your body as well. It takes about a half a pound of antibiotics to raise 1 pound of fish meat. So that's my take on fish. And every one of you are very welcome. I appreciate you being here again. You being here allows me to do what I am sent here to do, and that's help people. So without you, I couldn't be doing what I mean anybody eat fish because it's still high in fats, as well as high in antibiotics, especially if you're eating any kind of farmed fish. So I appreciate you for being here. If you missed any part of the live, it will be up in a few minutes for a replay. So go back, fast forward, rewind, slow it down, repost it. Make sure you share it with somebody else that needs this information. If you yourself need additional help and you don't want just to read something, but you want somebody to explain it and hold your hand throughout the entire process, be there to support you and hold you accountable and give you the tools to help you make this a lifestyle, DM me the word inflammation and we'll get you set up with a free discovery call where we'll go over all the details and see if it works for you. Until next time, y'all, live healthy. Peace.